Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. South Korean police raids the Jeju Air offices and the Muan International Airport operator. Jeju Air CEO Kim A-bae banned from leaving the country. 3 different incidents of violence give a tragic start to the new year for Americans. Vehicle attacks at New Orleans and Las Vegas and a mass shooting outside a New York nightclub reported. And India's National Sports Awards announced. D. Gukesh, Harmanpreet Singh, Praveen Kumar and Manu Bhaker to be conferred with the Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award. South Korean authorities are intensifying their investigation into the deadly crash of a Jeju Air flight. The crash, which claimed the lives of 179 people, is being closely examined with multiple raids carried out at key locations, including the airline's office and Muan Airport. Meanwhile, Jeju Air CEO has been banned from leaving the country. Here's a report by DD India's Harshita Oberoi.
Police conducted sweeping raids at Muan Airport, Jeju Air Seoul office and a regional aviation hub on Thursday morning. These searches are part of a high-stakes investigation into one of South Korea's deadliest air disasters. The cockpit voice recorder, a critical piece of evidence, has been recovered and is being analyzed. Acting President Choi Sang-mok announced at a disaster management meeting that the audio conversion of the recorder's data is expected to be completed by Friday.
해당 기종에 대한 국민들의 우려가 큰 만.
The data extracted from the voice recorder for the accident investigation will be converted into audio by tomorrow. An analysis of the flight recorder is scheduled to begin at the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board with the participation of our investigators.
비행 기록 장치는 우리
The flight data recorder, another crucial device, has been shipped to the United States for analysis at the National Transportation Safety Board. Experts from both South Korea and the US, including representatives from Boeing, are working at the crash site in southwestern Muan. Investigators are focusing on several potential causes, including faulty landing gear, a possible bird strike that may have triggered mechanical failure, and lapses in maintenance. The cockpit voice recorder is expected to provide critical insights into the crew's final communications. Meanwhile, officials have pledged full transparency and accountability. Acting President Choi emphasized the urgency of the probe, stating that immediate action would follow if inspections reveal lapses in safety protocols. The catastrophic crash of Jeju Air Flight 7C2216 has claimed 179 lives, plunging the nation into mourning. With so many lives lost, this investigation has become a national priority. The people of South Korea are demanding answers, not only to understand what went wrong, but to ensure such a tragedy never happens again. Harshita Oberoi, DD India.
Staying with South Korea, supporters and opponents of impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol gathered outside his residence while his security team prevented police raids in a dramatic standoff. Meanwhile, Yoon remained defiantly inside his residence, resisting arrest for a third day on Thursday after vowing to fight authorities seeking to question him over his failed martial law bid. Yoon sent a personally signed letter to his supporters thanking them and vowing to fight until the end to protect the country. Separately, the Constitutional Court is hearing Yoon's impeachment trial, with the second hearing scheduled for Friday. Meanwhile, South Korea's Constitutional Court held an inauguration ceremony for 2 new judges, Cho Han Chang and Jung Gyo Seon, on Thursday. Both the justices were appointed by Acting President Choi Sang-mok on December 31st. Their inauguration on Thursday brings the number of justices to 8. The ceremony was held just a day before the trial on suspended President Yoon's martial law bid. The court is set to decide the fate of both Yoon and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, who was the first acting president after Yoon's impeachment, on whether to oust them from their positions completely or restore their powers. South Korea's constitution requires 6 of its 9 justices to agree on the ousting of an impeached president. In the United States, a mass shooting injured at least 10 people on Wednesday evening outside a nightclub in New York's Queens. No deaths have been reported. Police are investigating the incident that occurred near the Amasura nightclub. 4 gunmen opened fire towards a crowd outside a private events club. The New York Police Department has ruled out the possibility of a terrorist attack. The incident came hours after 2 other acts of violence elsewhere in the U.S. on New Year's Day.
January 1st at approximately 11:18 p.m., the NYPD received multiple 911 calls for several people shot in front of an event space located here at 91-12 144th Place. 3 to 4 males then opened fire over 30 times in the direction of the group standing outside the event space, striking multiple victims. Officers responding to the multiple 911 calls found a total of 10 victims, 6 females, 4 males, which were taken to area hospitals. All of the victims are expected to recover with non-life-threatening injuries.
In New Orleans, a man drove deliberately at high speed into a crowd of New York's revelers, killing at least 15 and injuring more than 35. The attacker was a US-born Army vet with an Islamic State connection. A report.
At least 15 people were killed and dozens injured when a driver rammed a pickup truck into a crowd during New Year's celebrations in New Orleans early on Wednesday morning. The FBI identified the attacker as Samshuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old US citizen who once served in Afghanistan. He was later killed in a shootout with the police. A flag linked to the Islamic State group was discovered in the vehicle, and the FBI is investigating potential ties Jabbar may have had with terrorist organizations. Investigators suspect he may not have acted alone, as improvised explosive devices were found in the vicinity.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsud Dim Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject became in possession of this vehicle. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
US President Joe Biden has condemned the horrific car ramming incident. FBI had discovered videos posted by the driver on social media hours before the attack. In these videos, the driver expressed being inspired by the Islamic State group and voiced a desire to kill.
The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, the law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators.
Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump reignited the debate over immigration and crime following the car ramming incident, blaming Democrats for dismissing his warnings about criminal migration into the U.S. International condemnation poured in for the attack in New Orleans. Messages of condolences poured in from global leaders, including Israeli Foreign Minister, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, French President Emmanuel Macron, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and others. Bureau Report, TT India.
Further, a Tesla Cybertruck exploded in flames outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on Wednesday, leaving 1 person dead and injuring 7 more. The FBI is now investigating the incident as a possible act of terrorism.
Tesla Cybertruck exploding in flames just outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Amidst the intense smoke that followed, bursting of what seemed like firecrackers can be seen. Though it sent shockwaves across the nation, the investigating agencies have so far ruled out any link with New Orleans terror attack. Sheriff Kevin McMahill told a news conference that the back of the truck contained gasoline and camping fuel canisters as well as large firework mortars.
So those are gasoline canisters, they are camp fuel canisters, and large firework mortars. What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there.
The one deceased individual was inside the Cybertruck. FBI has indicated that the identity of the suspect has still not been confirmed.
As of right now, our number one goal is to ensure that we have the proper identification of the subject involved in this incident. Following that, our second objective is to determine whether this was an act of terrorism or not.
He stated that the FBI had identified the driver of the vehicle, which was rented in Colorado, but was not prepared to release the driver's identity at this time. The Trump International Hotel is owned by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. The explosion occurred hours after a tragic incident in New Orleans where a man drove a truck into crowds celebrating New Year's Day, killing 15 people. Nancy Baloda, DD India.
Vehicle attacks have become increasingly common around the world. Here's a list of some high-profile incidents in which a vehicle was used to ram into crowds, harming and killing bystanders in recent years.
Vehicle attacks have surged globally since 2016, starting with the Nice attack in France, when a man drove a heavy truck into crowds of Bastille Day celebrants, claiming 86 lives. The ISIS claimed the responsibility of the attack. In December 2016, a Tunisian asylum seeker hijacked a truck, plowed it into a crowded Berlin Christmas market, killing 11 more people and injuring dozens. 4 days later, he was killed in a shootout with police in Italy. A car sped across Westminster Bridge in March 2017, mowing down pedestrians just outside Parliament, killing 4 people and injuring dozens. The driver then fatally stabbed a police officer before he was shot dead. In May 2017, a U.S. Navy veteran rammed his car into pedestrians in Manhattan's crowded Times Square, killing a woman and injuring 22 people. In August 2017, a 22-year-old man rammed a car into crowds in Barcelona on Ras Ramblas, killing 13 people. The man, Yunus Abu Qayyub, fled the scene on foot. Manhunt for suspected driver is still on. In October 2017, an Uzbek national plowed a rented truck onto a Manhattan bike path, killing 8 people and injuring 11. In 2018, a man plowed a rented van into dozens of people in downtown Toronto, killing 11 people and injuring 15. A Wisconsin man was convicted in 2022 of killing 6 people and injuring dozens when he drove his SUV into a Christmas parade near Milwaukee, Wisconsin in November 2021. A driver in November 2024 rammed his car into a crowd at Sports Center in the southern Chinese city of Zhuhai, killing 35 people and severely injuring 43 in one of the deadliest attacks in contemporary Chinese history. In Germany, a 50-year-old man was charged with multiple counts of murder and attempted murder in December 2024 after police said he plowed a car through crowds at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, killing 5 people and injuring scores. Bureau Report. DD India.
In Montenegro, the death toll in a shooting spree at a restaurant has risen to 12, including 2 children. According to media reports, the suspect had engaged in a brawl at a restaurant and later returned and opened fire, killing multiple people, including the owner of the establishment. Interior Minister said that members of the suspect's own family were among the victims, while the suspect died from self-inflicted injuries after attempting suicide. The minister described the incident as the consequence of disturbed interpersonal relations without providing further details. Meanwhile, the government has declared 3 days of national mourning starting today. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Excavations at the ancient city of Herakliya in Turkey have uncovered traces of animals that lived in the region for centuries, including flamingos, dolphins and domestic pets. The site, along with the nearby 8,000-year-old cave paintings and centuries-old monasteries, is now open for tourism. A Tasmanian company in Australia is reducing ocean waste by developing sustainable wooden buoys to replace traditional plastic ones used for scientific research. These buoys, designed to break down naturally, will be deployed in Antarctica. The move aims to reduce ocean waste and move towards sustainable scientific equipment. And scientists identified a 13-million-year-old snapping turtle fossil on display at the Northern Territory Museum as a new species named Elsea mudbara. This giant carnivorous turtle once roamed Central Australia's lush forests alongside giant flightless birds and marsupials. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh interacts with senior scientists of the DRDO on its 67th anniversary celebrations. Bangladesh court in Chittagong denies bail to former ISKCON spiritual leader Chinmoy Krishna Brahmachari in a 30-minute hearing.
The delicate balance between human and animal coexistence has become a growing problem. Finding sustainable ways to coexisting together and thriving in a rapidly changing environment.
Tell them not to panic. Instead, they should just stand completely still and let the lions walk past peacefully.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited Defence Research and Development Organization's DRDO's headquarters in New Delhi on Thursday. The minister interacted with senior scientists and officials to mark the 67th foundation day of the organization. During the meeting, Rajnath Singh commended DRDO for developing the indigenous capabilities of the country and also appreciated the organization's efforts towards increasing the collaboration with the private sector. Singh also encouraged DRDO to explore the possibility of including startups in its R&D efforts. In a major crackdown on illegal immigration, 4 individuals, including 2 Bangladeshi immigrants, were arrested in India's capital, New Delhi. The operation highlights ongoing efforts by authorities to combat illegal migrant influxes in the capital city. During the search of the house, several items were recovered, including 4 Aadhaar cards, credit and debit cards, PAN cards, 2 bank passbooks, and a copy of a voting card and an Indian passport application form. The illegal immigrants used jungle routes and express trains to enter the Indian territory. The detained individuals are under investigation as part of broader measures to curb unauthorized immigration and strengthen border security. A court in Bangladesh's Chattogram has denied bail to Chinmoy Krishna Brahmachari, a former ISKCON leader, during a hearing held on Thursday. The Chattogram Metropolitan Sessions judge rejected the bail plea after hearing arguments from both sides for around 30 minutes. Chinmoy Das was represented by a team of 11 Supreme Court lawyers. However, despite their efforts, the court's decision went against their plea. On November 25, 2024, the former ISKCON leader was arrested on sedition charges, leading to violent protests by his followers, not only in Bangladesh, but across the world. Speaking on the rejection of Chinmoy Krishna Das's bail, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Veena Sikri, called it a travesty of justice. While the current interim regime is keen on the death of the lawyer during the clashes in aftermath of Chinmoy's arrest, but is silent about the former ISKCON leader's arrest. Taiwan on Thursday detected 22 Chinese military aircraft, including J-16 fighter jets, carrying out a joint combat readiness patrol in around Taiwan in conjunction with Chinese warships. This is the first combat patrol around the island of the new year. Taiwan's defense ministry said that the Chinese aircraft flew in airspace to the north, west and southwest and east of Taiwan. The incident took place after Taiwan President Lai Ching-te again expressed willingness to talk to Beijing. His repeated calls for talks have been rebuffed. On the other hand, Philippines on Thursday recovered a submarine drone suspected to be from China in waters off the central Philippines. The 6-feet-long drone was discovered by 3 fishermen floating at sea around 9 kilometers off the coast of San Pascual in Masbate province. The police termed it warning of potential national security implications. The yellow drone was marked with HY-119, that refers to a Chinese underwater navigation and communication system. The Philippines and China over the years have clashed for maritime rights in the South China Sea. It's 2025 now, but the Russia-Ukraine conflict still rages on with no end in sight. Russia on Thursday claimed to have struck energy facilities in Ukraine that support Kiev's military-industrial complex. Russia also targeted military airfields and Ukrainian military personnel across multiple locations. Russia regularly reports such strikes, describing the recent ones as retaliation for Kiev's use of Western-supplied missiles to strike deep into Russian territory. Europe's gas supply is facing a crisis as the Russia-Ukraine conflict has disrupted their traditional energy routes. The breakaway Moldovan region of Transnistria is without heating after Russian gas supplies were cut as a result of a payment dispute between Moldova and Russia's Gazprom and Ukraine's refusal to extend transit agreements. Russian gas, once crucial, now makes up less than 10% of EU imports, down from 40% in 2021. Ever since Russia started its war in Ukraine, the European Union countries have turned off Russian gas, at least most of them. Some still receive deliveries, but that has now come to an end as well. Lars Holte is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, what can you tell us?
Thanks for having me. The big change came with the new year. It's been clear for a while that with the end of 2024, long-running transit contracts between Russia's state-owned gas giant Gazprom and Ukraine would be running out. And it's also been pretty clear that Ukraine wasn't about to renew them. So in the early morning hours of New Year's Day, the gas transit pipeline that used to deliver Siberian gas through the entire country of Ukraine and delivered it to Slovakia and Hungary ran dry. News agencies showing pictures of gauges along the route that had literally dropped to show a pressure of 0. And Ukrainian authorities also published logs that showed no transit. Now, none of this, I should say, was surprising. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had recently talked about what was to come when he joined an EU meeting in Brussels. Back then, he made it clear that, quote, "We will not continue the transit of Russian gas. We will not give them the opportunity to earn additional billions on our blood."
And Lars, what does it all mean for European countries who depended on Russian gas?
Well, it differs from country to country. Obviously, ever since the war started, most EU countries haven't bought Russian gas at all. However, some did, and Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and Austria continue to receive some Russian gas, and they will, even with transit through Ukraine, no longer possible. And that's because Russia still exports gas through the Turk Stream pipeline on the bed of the Black Sea. One other country, however, is really feeling the pinch, and that is Moldova. Just like Russia and Ukraine, a former member of the Soviet Union. Moldova is a landlocked country, and the government there said that it simply can't replace Russian deliveries through Ukraine and that they will have to reduce its gas use by at least a third.
Thank you, Lars. Lars Holte reporting from DW Berlin. Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund, Mubadala Investment Company, became the world's leading sovereign investor in 2024, deploying an impressive $29.2 billion across 52 deals. This marks a significant achievement as it surpassed Saudi Arabia's public investment fund and accounted for approximately 20% of the $136.1 billion in total sovereign wealth fund spending globally last year. Mubadala has also invested in India with commitments spanning sectors such as digital and telecommunications, renewable energy, infrastructure, financial services, healthcare and retail. A preliminary annual report from Global SWF highlighted the sharp increase in Mubadala's activity, rising from $17.5 billion in 2023 to $29.2 billion in 2024. Mubadala's leading role underscores the growing influence of Gulf sovereign funds in shaping global investment trends. And India's Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports announced the National Sports Awards 2024 on Thursday. The awardees will receive their awards from the President of India at a specially organized function at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the India's President House, on 17th of January. D. Gukesh, Harmanpreet Singh, Praveen Kumar and Manu Bhakar will be honored with the Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award. Gukesh became the youngest World Chess Championship in Singapore in December. Bhakar had won 2 bronze medals at the Paris Olympics. Harmanpreet had led India to a bronze medal in men's hockey at the same games. Praveen had won gold in men's high jump T64 discipline at the Paris Paralympics. The Sports Ministry also named 32 athletes for the Arjuna Award, including 17 para-athletes. And the traditional icy plunge brought together several thousand people on the beach of Dunkirk in France, despite the wind and the fresh water from the English Channel. To follow an amazing yet fun tradition, Dunkirk residents braved the weather to celebrate the new year with an ice bath and the sound of the brass bands. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.